Ladies and gentlemen, the Near Fall Network proudly brings to you the modern-day Micah Russia, the guru of grappling gab, the one, the only Shooter!
Near Fall Nation, say hello to the bald guy. And welcome to a brand new episode of Drive-By with Shooter. As always, thanks for stopping in and checking out what I do here at the Near Fall Network. I want to get right into the topics today. You know, we just had Halloween this past weekend. Well, actually, it was technically on Tuesday. I know in my town, we did our trick-or-treating on Saturday. So took the kid out and had a lot of fun. So Monday Night Raw rolls around, and we have a little fun there too. Now we had a Halloween street fight, which is something that happens. You know, with WWE, they do these gimmick matches around the holidays, be it a Thanksgiving food fight or a Halloween street fight or a hardcore Christmas match, which I've seen them do before with Dean Ambrose and the most recent that I can remember. So just fun, gimmicky, kind of silly things like that. But what I really want to touch on is the fact that I saw a comment on Twitter that basically said or asked, you know, when is the club and Finn Balor going to leave WWE because they're used so poorly on Monday Night Raw? And if you know anything about my show, Drive-By, I try to bring in social media and, you know, kind of keep things in line. It's the top of the show. You heard our very own King of Nerds call me the guru of grappling gab. Well, and I gladly accept that moniker. But I actually was thinking of this stuff and having battles on Twitter all weekend, which is part of the show today. And I thought, you know, I have another name for myself. And that is the VOR. The voice of reason. Because, you know what? Sometimes people just need to chill out, relax, and enjoy what they're watching on TV. So, back to where we left off. This comment basically asking if, you know, the club and Finn, when are they going to leave? Because they're just used horribly. And it just blows my mind. Like, we'll get into the club first. Now, they're in this Halloween street fight. Is it what they want to be doing? Like, I'm sure they want to be chasing the WWE Tag Team titles, as any contender on that roster should want to be going after a certain championship. I'm sure that's a huge goal that they want to get back to. But maybe right now it isn't the time. And that's what we kind of got to take into consideration. So, are they making the best of what they're given? I don't know if you know much about Gallows and Anderson other than, you know, the things they've done in New Japan and the name they made for themselves over there as one of the best tag teams in the world. But they're also two really funny guys. I mean, they come out in a street fight in costumes, and who do they dress as? None other than their Southpaw Regional Wrestling characters, Chad Too Bad and Tex Ferguson. That had to be up to them, and they had to say, let's have fun with this. So that right there, we all love Southpaw. We all talk about how great Southpaw was, but, you know, it pisses us off that they come out dressed like these gimmick wrestlers from a fake show. Like, come on, guys. And you know, regardless of what you want to say, I think the biggest problem came in this match. Some of the spots were silly, but probably the biggest spot at the end was the pumpkin spot. You know, Gallows put a pumpkin on his head. Anderson put a pumpkin on his. Of course, Gallows was backwards. Anderson went to do a finish off the top, putting, I think, Rhino through a table. Of course, Gallows had his pumpkin on backwards, couldn't see out of the eye holes, and, you know, reacted to the sounds, thinking that they were winning. And obviously, Heath Slater and Rhino got the upper hand and got the victory. Yeah, it was silly. It reminds me of a house show spot. Something fun, something you probably wouldn't see on TV. But I'm okay with it. Do I think it's the best thing that the club can be doing? No. But they're on TV. They're in the public eye. They're getting TV time, which sometimes is hard to come by. Someone actually asked Justin LaBar, he's a wrestling journalist. And I can't quite think off the top of my head who he works for because I think he just recently changed. But someone asked the same thing specifically to him. When will the club go back to Japan? And he basically said, why would they go back to Japan? They're not going to go back to Japan. They're at home making good money in the States where their family lives. Their family doesn't live in Japan. Their families live in the United States. So they're making, as he actually himself said, Justin LaBar, better money than what they were making in New Japan to be closer to their family. That makes sense to me. I don't know why it doesn't make sense to some of the smarks out there on Twitter and on the internet. Another thing that kind of cracks me up is how fans had a problem with the pumpkin spot and the Halloween street fight in general, but they're totally okay with Marty Scurll being Aladdin, Kenny Omega being Jasmine over the weekend at a show, and doing a whole Aladdin Jasmine thing, doing a magic carpet spot, and then they kiss in the ring. I mean, come on, guys. That's awesome. That's great. That's creative. But someone puts a pumpkin on their head backwards and it's horseshit. Come on. You can't be all for one because it's the Bullet Club and God, everything they do is just absolutely glorious. And then be anti-silliness when it comes to WWE because they should be serious all the time. You can't do that, Lance Storm. Stop it. Just stop it. And stop thinking that everybody's buried. And that brings me to Finn Balor. Okay, this guy was the first Universal Champ ever. And if it wasn't for an injury, he would have had probably what would amount to be a very solid, if not great run with that championship because they're trying to get it built. And if Brock and Roman were the plan, that's probably where he would have lost it, but it wouldn't have been for the time frame would have been different. He would have had that championship for a while, and he would have probably gave it up to Brock so that Roman could, get the win and be the all-time hero that we're going to make Roman into. And I'm okay with that. But, we got this uproar over the fact that he hasn't got to the Universal Championship yet. And I get that. But I want to bring one thing into your vision and into your ears. Finn Balor can only attempt to win his Universal Championship back, the one he never lost, one time. No one's beaten Brock Lesnar. So do you want that right now? Because I don't think that would be the best use for Finn Balor, because he's not going to win. So his one-time shot to win back the title he never lost, he's going to lose? You're going to bitch about that. So let's not talk about Finn Balor getting that title shot right at this point in time, because it's the Brock Lesnar Roman Reigns show. Just buckle up. That's what it is. Finn beat AJ at TLC, and then he got beat by Kane the next night. And that's when the uproar, the pushback from the fans started. Why is Finn jobbing to an old timer? Look at Kane burying young talent. It's absolutely ludicrous. But then this past week on Raw, Finn has a very good match with Cesaro and wins. Then he gets attacked by Kane on the ramp and gets tombstone on the ramp. And I literally see people talking about how he's buried. Are you kidding me? He just won a damn match, people. He got attacked by Kane. Kane, who is kayfabe, The Undertaker's brother. Kane, who has supernatural powers. I'm not sure if you guys are putting this together. I know we had Corporate Kane, and that was a little silly, and maybe he wasn't as big and as powerful as everyone thought he should be. That was Kane. And that was the story they were telling with Kane at that time. They are telling a different story, and Kane is supposed to be a monster. They're trying to elevate Kane and get him back to that monster status. I said it before. I said it last week. Finn Balor's not going to be the only body count here. Kane beat Seth Rollins Monday, and no one's saying that Seth Rollins should leave WWE. Do you see where we're not on the same path, guys? Why are we okay that Seth Rollins loses, but we're not okay that Finn Balor loses? To Kane, specifically, both of them. Why should Finn Balor leave WWE and go back to New Japan, but Seth Rollins perfectly fine getting pinned by the old timer? I don't see Twitter blowing up about Seth Rollins losing to Kane, but Finn Balor just needs to pack his shit and go back to New Japan because obviously Vince McMahon hates him, has this giant John Cena shovel that he's throwing dirt on him, and he never wants to see him again. You guys are moronic when you make statements like that. I just want you to know that. Like, you cannot have it both ways. You can't be okay that Seth Rollins lost to Kane and not blow up about it, but then say that Finn Balor is not being used right. Because Finn Balor and Seth Rollins are essentially the same. They're one and the same. They're both young talent. They're both trying to get up that ladder to get into the main title picture, and neither one of them are. So I'm trying to figure out where the disconnect here is. Because why it's okay for one and not okay for the other makes absolutely zero sense to me. And I love Finn Balor. Don't get me wrong. I do. And I want to see him do great things. But maybe this is one of those great things that he's doing. You can't be on top all the time. Your guy cannot win every match, and he cannot be champion constantly. I've said this numerous times. But they're using Finn to tell a story. They're using Seth Rollins to tell a story. I'm willing to bet that Kane is going to beat Dean Ambrose in the next upcoming weeks, and maybe somebody else. Maybe someone bigger. Do you want to know why, people? Because Braun Strowman is going to retire Kane and become the new monster. Kane's the old monster. Braun's going to become the new monster. And we're building Kane back up so Braun can look even stronger. If that doesn't make sense to you, then you need to go watch some old school wrestling and see how monster heels, or even just monsters in general, are built. Because I think Braun's a face now. I think it's official. But go look at how monsters are built and see who they beat and the bodies that lie in their path. Andre was unbeatable. Unbeatable. That's why it was such a big deal when Hulk Hogan body slammed him and beat the Giant. Get on the same page. We're going to enjoy this wrestling ride a lot more. Guys, it's coming up, and it's coming up next. My favorite segment and yours, Rapid Fire. Stay close, stay tuned. It's time once again for Rapid Fire. We're on full auto. First target, the Moth to a Flame. This weekend, the man of the hour himself, Mr. Lio Rush, may have started to dig his own hole and prepare for his own burial. Shortly after the news that the WWE had come to terms with the release of Emma, the Moth himself took to his Twitter to comment. He didn't send support or well wishes. Instead, he made a very ill-timed and lackluster comment about Emma's release and that it was the consequence of not being prepared for Asuka. What a frickin' bonehead. This, of course, led to many NXT and main roster superstars calling Rush out on his lack of sympathy and judgment. Rush was quick to issue a long apology, which didn't go over much better. Everyone makes mistakes, and Twitter or social media in general can be a slippery slope. Here's a clue. If you're going to apologize, mean it. Words to show that you know you screwed up. Don't backpedal and make excuses saying things were misunderstood or blown out of proportion. It just makes you look worse. If that's not how you're going to handle it, then don't apologize and just own it. While I don't think this will put Rush's career in jeopardy, it didn't gain him a whole slew of momentum and certainly made a lot of enemies backstage, and that is never a good thing. Second target, the Yes Man and the Demon. As seen on Raw this past week, the Big Red Machine Kane delivered a chokeslam to our beloved Daniel Bryan. Yes, that Daniel Bryan. Yes, the SmackDown Live general manager. Yes, the guy almost everyone wants to see to return to the ring. Yes, the guy who is not medically cleared to return to action in the WWE. Now, the lights in the room did happen to go out, so I'm 99.9% sure that there wasn't an actual bump taken during that segment. But here's where I take issue. We all loved the Miz Bryan angle that was building on Talking Smack. But it was much to do about nothing, because there was no possibility of a physical payoff. There was no chance for the two to tango, so to speak. So I ask you this. Why have Kane attack Daniel Bryan? The largest part of the internet wrestling community wants desperately to see Bryan return to the ring, be it WWE or on the indie scene. So if this doesn't lead to that, all WWE is going to do is irritate a very vocal fan base even more than they already have. Why kick a hornet's nest? As I've stated before, I have very mixed feelings about Daniel Bryan returning to in-ring action anyway. I still worry that we as a society are way behind on head injuries and the impact that they may have long term. But I'd be lying if I said I wouldn't pop hard for a Daniel Bryan in-ring return. My heart says there's more to this, and we just might get what we want, but my head says we've got no chance in hell. Target 3, the Cruise of Jericho. I recently mentioned that the Twitter battle going on between Y2J and the cleaner Kenny Omega was pretty heated and pretty interesting. I also stated how I think it's insane to think that this is anything but a work between these two. Well, kids, Jericho just announced the confirmation this week that none other than Ring of Honor's very own Young Bucks will be shipping off for the Rock and Wrestling Rager at sea. When this beef was brought up by a fan to the Young Bucks, they smartly responded that, hey, the cruise dates, they were booked long ago. But let's be real, this Jericho Omega thing has to be leading to something. There's honestly no other explanation for it. And again, no reason to down a star, a fellow wrestler, or an organization that you plan to make money with. So I'm calling it now. Before 2018 is over, we will see a Jericho versus Omega match. Will it be on the cruise? I don't know. Is it a long plan for WrestleMania? It could be. Or are we going to see Jericho working New Japan and get it at Wrestle Kingdom? Who knows? I have a hard time thinking that at this point in his career, Jericho would work for anybody other than WWE. But you know they always say, anything can happen. Welcome back. And yes, it's very true. Anything can happen. And that's one of the reasons that wrestling is so fun, but wrestling can be a real downer too. And building off the Emma release, I got into a Twitter battle, I guess is what you want to call it, on our network Twitter account, which if you're not following, you need to. It's at Nearfall Network. Really simple. Go on Twitter, follow. But anyway, regarding Emma, I saw numerous tweets basically saying, well, she's better off. She's better off without the WWE because she's going to go to Ring of Honor or Indies anywhere and make way more money. And I just want to smack my damn head off a wall. Now, of course, I couldn't let this go. I had to say something, and I'll give the guy a shout out. I don't even care. His name is @SuperDad5021. Got into it with me. And a couple other people. But basically what I didn't realize is the one that I mentioned to say, hey, you're wrong, was a fan of another YouTube podcast. I think it's Joe Corona is his name, or Joe Corona, or Corona Brother. No, it's Joe Cronin, I think is how it's pronounced. Anyway, he's another one of these JD guys. He's another guy that makes, I guess, a living off of talking about wrestling, but hates the WWE and will talk about WWE constantly, but never has one damn good thing to say about it. And this, guys, this drives me nuts. If you don't like it, don't watch it and don't make money off of it. Bottom line, that's it. That's it. If you don't like it, don't watch it, don't talk about it, and don't make money off of it. Because there's some of us out here that really do enjoy it. Are there things that could be better? There's always things that could be better. Every form, medium, genre of entertainment, there's always things that could be better. But you got to give credit when something's good. And they never do that. But anyway, the point of this is I got in a Twitter battle, and I just need to lay this out because it's really, really, really hard to say what you mean in 140 characters on Twitter. So basically, I'm going to try to find where this all started here on my Twitter and kind of see what this all led from and came from. But as I said, they were saying that they'll be fine. Okay, actually, here it is. Justin LaBar, again, I mentioned him earlier. He had said, Emma's only 28 with a good bit of experience operating in WWE. Could see her back in 2 to 3 years and have more of a run that we all want. It's all about timing. And he's 100% right. I don't always agree with what Mr. Justin LaBar says, but he is spot on this, okay? And someone commented, the company don't, and I'm going to read this word for word because some of the spelling and pronunciation, and I'm an English Nazi, sorry. The company don't know. The company don't know. Already I should have known I'm talking to a moron. The company don't know what they are doing. They fire her to hire a part-timer, Ronda Rousey. Yeah, they don't need WWE. They have Ring of Honor. I responded, yeah, because I'm sure women can make WWE money in Ring of Honor and on the indies, shaking my head. Right? So, Joe Cronin actually responded and said, many former WWE wrestlers have told us they make more now. They distant, I know Twitter can be funny and you got to fit things in, but I don't even know what he was trying to say. I think he was trying to say they didn't get much in WWE by entertainment and sports standards. Look, okay, this goes, I went on, I said, yeah, Cody, Austin Aries, some of the select few men, they might be able to make that. Might. But there isn't a market for women's wrestling on the indie scene. I got into this argument about this, and they're telling me how Brandy Rhodes made all this money, or is making more money in the in Ring of Honor and on the indie scene with Cody. She's Cody freaking Rhodes' husband. She's an outlier. She's riding his coattails. That doesn't count. And besides, she was not an active wrestler in WWE. She was a freaking ring announcer, okay? She's doing wrestling shots now. And she's Cody Rhodes' wife. Like, it drives me nuts. You can't compare that to the average, independent women's wrestler. Now, I think Emma will be fine. I think she could be a model and she can do other things outside of wrestling, but I think she probably wants to wrestle. And God bless her. And I hope she does make a name for herself and can do what she needs to do to survive money-wise and get back to the WWE. But there's this misconception out there, and I give a shout out to these guys because I love them. I listen to them. I don't feel like podcasts should necessarily compete with each other. There's room for all of us. There's thousands of us out here, and I'm just trying to pull some viewers and hopefully build a name for myself as being a credible go-to guy when it comes to wrestling and just being, as I say, a voice of reason. But the New Age insiders have stated it time and time again. There's a big money gap from WWE to anywhere else. And yes, you have your outliers. The Young Bucks have made themselves just out of sheer luck, opportunity, and them being who they are. Not everybody can do that. And as I've said before, and as the New Age insiders say, WWE is the big leagues, people. They are the place to be. They are the NFL. You don't want to play Canadian football. You want to play in the frickin' NFL, okay? That's where you want to be. That's our comparison here. Indies, Ring of Honor, even New Japan, and throw shade at me all you want. I'm saying it. They're the Canadian Football League. WWE is the NFL. It's just what it is. If you look at hockey, WWE is the NHL, everything else is the EHL and all those other side organizations that they all have affiliate teams with. That's what it is, guys. WWE has a whole different pay scale. They pay better than any company out there. You have things outside of your base pay that they're making money on. You know, they might sign a contract for X amount of dollars, but then they get paid for, you know, pay-per-view shares, for revenue shares from pay-per-view buys and all those things, the signings that they do, the sponsored events that they do, those are paydays separate from what they're being paid to be a contracted star. An indie wrestler, if they find a solid promotion, they might work once or twice a month. And then you got to find other promotions that are going to pay you. Someone who can demand money. There's not a lot of organizations out there to do that, unless maybe you go to a Ring of Honor, but you're not going to get a full-time contract that matches the WWE. You're not. Not unless you're Cody Rhodes. And guess what? They already have Cody Rhodes. And when it comes to women, it's even less of a chance. That's not a knock on the women. It's just if you want to make money in professional wrestling as a female, you better go to WWE. That is where the market is. As a woman in professional wrestling, you have to work for the best company to make the best money. Because you can sit here and tell me that the women aren't getting paid comparable to what the men are in WWE, and I would say, yeah, I bet you're right. And at the same time, you think it's going to get better when you go out to a smaller organization that doesn't have the financial ability to do what the WWE does, you're out of your freaking mind. Guys, I've had a blast this show. I got a little bit fired up, and I like to do that. I hope you enjoy it. As always, check out everything we do here at the Nearfall Network. Home base is our Facebook page. You get our live reviews, SmackDown, Raw, King of Nerds, High Five and Party with the High Five and MFer on Monday, King of Nerds on Wednesday with the SmackDown live review, and then King of Nerds comes back Thursday and Friday with your Retro Raw, Monday Night Wars, Thursday for Raw, Friday for Nitro. And then come here on Saturday, and I'm going to work it in. I'll let you know when it happens. But I'm putting this stuff on iTunes, so if you don't like streaming it on YouTube or having to have the app open or however you listen to it, I'm going to hopefully have it on iTunes so it's downloadable. You can download it, take it with you. You're not using data, all that fun stuff. And you get to listen to me be the voice of reason for you. As I say every week, guys, it's been real. It's been fun. We'll catch you next time.